entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey now, DC fans, Matt Haywood here to review Justice League, or what will become known as the next mediocre entry in the fizzling DC cinematic universe. And it pains me to say that because I'm a DC movie apologist who has tried to stick up for the universe up until this point. But Snyder Whedon's Justice League is a bit messy with only a few redeeming qualities. It's clear from the get-go that too many cooks were in the kitchen on this one, because the plot is extremely disjointed, lacks exposition for characters we've only briefly heard about in BVS, and just never feels like it hits any sort of stride. The plot feels like it's missing a traditional 3-act arc. It just feels like one long lead-up to the inevitable showdown between the forces of good and evil. I credit this to the fact that it has not only deal with setting up the meat of Justice League's plot, but it also has to spend time briefly introducing the audience to 3 brand new major characters. There's no clear flow between them, so at times it feels like you're watching 2 different films, and neither is very interesting. You can sense early on that this movie has 2 identities, which further muddies up its narrative. There's the grittier, in-your-face identity, which clearly comes from Snyder, but then there's a forced infusion of levity, which in turn is the product of Whedon's work. It just feels like a lot of what this film was supposed to be was cut in an effort to make it feel more like a Marvel movie, after fan backlash on BVS and Suicide Squad. The film tries too hard to be funny, but almost every joke falls flat. Not a single laugh could be heard in my screening, and it is just as awkward of a feeling as watching a comedian bomb. So at times I felt bad for the actors because they come off looking like bozos in these moments. The Flash definitely shines the most in the comedy department, but even his shtick gets old because his funny lines tend to miss the mark more often than not. Ezra Miller does offer up a solid take on the character, but like Aquaman and Cyborg, the Flash doesn't feel fully fleshed out because we didn't have a standalone movie to set up his character before this ensemble film. This to me is Justice League's biggest issue. It feels forced and overly convenient. There's no gravity to it because outside of Batman and Wonder Woman, and oh by the way, obvious spoiler, Superman, none of the characters have a developed backstory, so they feel a bit hollow and not as interesting because we only see shells of who we think these characters are. As they stand in Justice League, Flash is a fast-talking dude who doesn't really know how to be a hero yet. Aquaman is a king of the dude bros and has a drinking problem, and Cyborg is a brooding robot who has a thing for hoodies and sweatpants. None of them feel like deep characters because we weren't given time to see them develop. That's what sets Justice League apart from the first Avengers movie. That ensemble was preceded by multiple standalone movies to set up each character, but also to tie them together through the end credit scenes. Justice League, on the other hand, feels like a boardroom reaction to the success of the Avengers and the MCU in general. Whoever runs the DC Cinematic Universe just said, fuck it, throw all the big DC characters into one movie and sprinkle some VFX dust on it and the geeks will hand over their money. I mean, we have Superman and Batman for Christ's sake, what can go wrong? Well, as Justice League has proven, a lot can go wrong when you don't carefully plan out movies about characters people have loved for over 50 years. Justice League does have its moments, and there are a few pretty radical action sequences and DC fanboy nods that help to carry it along. There are also some spectacular cinematic shots and plenty of heroic team money shots, and again, spoilers, you get to see Superman do some pretty Superman-like stuff, while also coming out of his shell a bit. Unfortunately, these moments don't outweigh the clunkiness of the Justice League's plot. So, rather than coming off with a huge DC grin on your face, you're left with another ho-hum expression after watching the latest DC live-action movie. It really made me wish that Patty Jenkins was in charge of the whole damn universe and not just Wonder Woman, because so far she seems to be the only person who understands how to use DC's comic book character royalty correctly. When it comes down to it, Justice League is an average film at best, so it earns a 6.9 out of 10 review score from Team EB. I was definitely disappointed, and for the first time I had no argument for why this DC film is better than what the critics were saying about it. Because it's not. It's a shame because this movie had more potential for me than the Avengers, because when it comes down to it, I'm a DC guy first and foremost, and you can't top Batman and Superman. But so far, the powers that be at Warner Brothers just have no clue how to handle them and their do-gooder friends. Thanks for watching. Matt Haywood here for EntertainmentBuddha.com, where we make you a better geek, one post at a time.
EntertainmentBuddha.com